What if every choice you've ever made still exists, playing out somewhere else in another version of you? Imagine this, a quiet evening. You're standing at a crossroads, hesitating. You take the path to the right. But in another world, one invisible to your eyes, you chose the left. There, your life unfolds in a completely different way. A single decision, and suddenly two realities bloom where one once stood. Could it be that each thought, each breath, creates ripples across infinite versions of existence? Modern physics calls it the multiverse, a vast, unseeable ocean of realities where every possibility happens. In one universe, you're sitting where you are right now. In another, you never found this video. And somewhere, perhaps, another version of you is asking the same question right now. It's not just a theory whispered in scientific circles. It's an idea that touches something ancient inside us. For millennia, humanity has wondered whether reality is singular or woven from countless threads of possibility. But science has taken that wondering and turned it into something astonishing. A vision of the cosmos where infinity itself is not just a number, but a structure. A living system of worlds, layered like reflections in an endless mirror. If this is true, then every decision, every heartbeat creates echoes. An entire cosmos of outcomes spiraling outward, unseen, yet real. Picture it. A universe that breathes like a prism, splitting light into countless shades of existence. In one, the stars burn blue. In another, they never ignited at all. Somewhere, the earth never formed. And somewhere else, humanity evolved beneath a different sun. Quantum physics first hinted at this unimaginable truth. In the tiny realm of particles, where certainty dissolves, reality behaves as if it cannot decide. An electron can spin up and down at once until we look. That act of observation, of choosing, collapses all possibilities into one. Or does it? What if, instead, the universe never chooses at all? What if every possibility continues, side by side, in separate worlds? That's the breathtaking proposition behind one of science's most daring ideas. That reality doesn't collapse, it branches. So what does this mean for us, for you, for me, for consciousness itself? If the multiverse is real, then somewhere out there exists another version of you. One who turned left instead of right, one who said yes instead of no, one who became someone entirely different. And maybe, just maybe, they sometimes wonder about you too. Because if every choice spawns a world, then reality is not a straight line. It's an infinite forest of timelines, each one growing in its own direction, each leaf shimmering with potential. But here's the mystery. If these other worlds exist, why can't we see them? Why can't we reach across the thin fabric that divides us from our other selves? In the next chapter, we'll journey backward, to the dawn of myth and memory, to discover how our ancestors imagined the first multiverses. Hidden realms, dream worlds, heavens, and underworlds. For long before science named it, humanity had already dreamed it. So ask yourself, before we continue, if another you exists somewhere beyond this reality, what would they be dreaming about right now? Long before the word multiverse ever appeared in a physics journal, humanity was already whispering about it. Through myth, through symbol, through sacred stories that shimmered like coded memories of something we could almost recall. Every civilization, in its own way, has spoken of other worlds. Not stars or planets in the modern sense, but planes of being, mirror realms, heavens stacked upon heavens, shadows behind the veil of ordinary sight. In ancient Egypt, the priests of Heliopolis told of Duat, the unseen world beneath the stars, where souls traveled at night alongside the sun god Ra. But Duat was not merely a place of the dead. It was a parallel order of existence. Its rivers, mountains, and cities reflected those of earth, yet made of spirit instead of matter. A mirror world vibrating just slightly out of phase with our own. Across the sands of Mesopotamia, the Sumerians described En and Ki, heaven and earth, not as separate domains, but as intertwined realities. Their gods could move between them, crossing through the gates of Anu, which shimmered like thresholds between frequencies. To the ancients, the cosmos was never one flat world. It was layered, breathing, multidimensional. Even in Greece, the philosophers hinted at this. Plato, in his Timaeus, spoke of the universe as a living being composed of infinite worlds within worlds. The Stoics believed that after every cosmic cycle, the universe was reborn, a new version of existence unfolding again and again, each slightly altered. In the East, the Hindu Vedas told of countless lokas, realms of existence woven into the great fabric of Brahman, the ultimate reality. Every being, from gods to humans, lived in one thread of an infinite cosmic tapestry. The Upanishads went further, declaring that as is the microcosm, so is the macrocosm, that every mind contained within it the reflections of all worlds. Meanwhile, in the far north, the Norse saw the cosmos as Yggdrasil, the world tree. 9 realms hung upon its branches, connected yet distinct. Asgard, Midgard, Niflheim, and others, each vibrating with its own form of reality. These weren't mere allegories. To the Norse seers, they were literal spheres of existence, intersecting like overlapping waves. And far across the ocean, the Mayan priests charted 13 heavens and 9 underworlds, layered like the steps of a pyramid. For them, time was not linear, it was circular, recursive, repeating itself endlessly. Existence was not a single thread, but a woven spiral. The pattern repeats everywhere you look. Different cultures, different languages, the same intuition, that reality is not singular. Could it be that these ancient visions weren't just imagination but memory? A faint echo from times when human consciousness still sensed more than one layer of being. Consider the dream time of the Aboriginal Australians, a realm not after life, but beneath it, running parallel to the waking world. Every mountain, every river had its counterpart in the dreaming. Every act performed here resonated there, and vice versa. They understood something that modern quantum physics is only beginning to rediscover, that all things are connected, all outcomes entangled. Perhaps the myths were our first language for parallel worlds. Instead of equations and measurements, they used symbols and stories. When a shaman spoke of journeying between realms, maybe it wasn't fantasy. It was early human experience of consciousness slipping between frequencies, glimpsing another version of reality. Across temples, caves, and stone tablets, one truth glimmers. Humanity has always sensed that the visible world is only one layer of something far grander. But where did that intuition come from? Was it born of imagination, or did our ancestors see what we have forgotten how to perceive? Next, we'll step out of legend and into the birth of science, to the moment when mathematics, not myth, began to hint that our universe may not be alone. Because when physics began to look closely at the smallest pieces of reality, it found that reality itself might be splitting again and again. So before we move forward, ask yourself, were the ancients dreaming or remembering? It began not with myth, but with measurement. In the early 20th century, scientists peered deep into the structure of reality, and what they found there shattered everything we thought we knew. At the smallest scales, beneath the calm surface of the everyday world, the universe was not solid. It was not predictable. It was a storm of probabilities, a dance of uncertainty. Electrons behaved like waves, yet struck like particles. Light could exist in 2 states at once. And the act of observing something didn't merely reveal its state, it changed it. This strange new landscape became known as quantum mechanics, and it was unlike anything the world had ever seen. Physicists like Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg tried to explain it. They proposed that particles did not truly exist until they were measured, that before observation, they hovered in a haze of possibilities called a wave function. Only when measured did they collapse into a single reality. But another man saw something deeper hidden in that uncertainty. His name was Hugh Everett III. In 1957, a young graduate student at Princeton, Everett suggested a radical idea. What if the wave function never collapses at all? What if every possible outcome of a quantum event actually happens, just not in the same world? According to Everett's many worlds interpretation, the universe doesn't choose one reality. It creates them all. Each possibility splits from the others, branching into separate universes like leaves unfolding from an infinite tree. In one world, a particle travels left. In another, it travels right. In one, you turn back to read that sentence again. In another, you never do. It's as if reality itself were a grand cosmic experiment, running every version of itself at once. At first, Everett's idea was dismissed. It sounded absurd science fiction, not science. But as decades passed, and as experiments continued to reveal the bizarre behavior of the quantum world, his vision began to look less like fantasy and more like a hidden logic of existence. Other physicists, from Bryce DeWitt to Max Tegmark, built upon his foundation. They began to describe the cosmos as a vast wave of infinite branches, an endless orchestra where every note, every event, resonates across countless universes. Think of it this way: reality isn't a single line. It's a vast, shimmering web of intertwined threads. Each decision, each fluctuation spins a new strand. You, me, everyone, we are travelers walking along just one path of an infinite lattice. If you could somehow step outside of time and look upon the whole structure, you'd see it. A boundless pattern of possibilities, each one as real as the next. And yet, this vision leads to a haunting question. If every possible version of you exists somewhere, what does it mean to be you? The you watching this might only be one note in a cosmic symphony, a single vibration in an endless field of consciousness. Everett once said that the universe doesn't split because of us. It simply is that way, always branching, always expanding into every conceivable form. We just happen to perceive one small slice of it. But there's a catch. If there truly are infinite worlds, then there may also be infinite versions of every atom, every planet, every galaxy, each following its own timeline. It sounds impossible. And yet, it's the most natural conclusion of quantum mathematics. And if that's true, then somewhere out there, another version of this very moment is unfolding. You're still listening, but the words are slightly different. The pause is longer. The tone shifts. The same story told in another world. Quantum theory opened the door. Everett pushed it wide. And once that door was open, physics could never quite close it again. In the next chapter, we'll lift our gaze beyond the subatomic, beyond particles and probabilities, to the largest canvas imaginable. Because if parallel worlds exist in the quantum realm, could the same truth echo across the cosmos itself? Are there universes beyond our own, entire galaxies of alternate realities expanding in silence, just beyond the horizon of our perception? And if so, what lies at the edge of everything? When we gaze up at the night sky, we see what seems like everything. Stars scattered like diamonds, galaxies spinning in silent motion, and the endless black between. But what if this vastness is just a fraction of what truly exists? Imagine for a moment that our entire universe, everything we can see, touch, or measure, is just one bubble floating in a cosmic sea filled with countless others. Each bubble, another universe. Each one, governed by its own laws of physics, its own dimensions of space and time. This is the staggering vision proposed by modern cosmology. And it begins with a single spark, the Big Bang. According to our best understanding, about 13.8 billion years ago, everything in existence expanded from an unimaginably small point, a singularity of energy and potential. But that moment wasn't an explosion into empty space. It was the rapid stretching of space itself. This process, known as cosmic inflation, happened in less than a fraction of a second. Physicists like Alan Guth and Andre Linde proposed that during inflation the universe didn't just expand, it multiplied. Space ballooned so quickly that parts of it became isolated from each other, splitting off into their own expanding regions. Each of those regions could evolve into a separate universe, with its own stars, galaxies, and perhaps even its own forms of life. In this picture, the cosmos is not a single universe, but a multiverse, a boundless foam of universes constantly forming, expanding, and drifting apart in silence. And here's the astonishing part. The laws of nature may not be the same everywhere. The constants that define our reality, gravity, light, even time itself, might vary from one universe to the next. Some may collapse instantly. Others may last for trillions of years. A few, like ours, might give rise to consciousness that wonders about its place in the infinite. This concept is sometimes called eternal inflation because it never truly ends. Somewhere, right now, new universes may still be forming, infinite beginnings unfolding in the dark. It's a cosmic ocean without a shore. The physicist Max Tegmark once described this as Level 1 and Level 2 multiverses. The first, born from the vast size of our own space, so large that regions beyond the observable horizon may look identical to ours, with stars and galaxies arranged in every possible way. The second, a deeper infinity, where each universe is a completely separate creation, disconnected, unreachable, yet real. If this is true, then there may be universes where everything is slightly different, where the laws of physics allow for new colors of light, or where matter never cooled, leaving only a haze of eternal fire. There could even be versions of our own universe where history unfolded differently, where Earth formed in another orbit, where life evolved into shapes beyond imagination. Some scientists describe this as a natural consequence of mathematics, that everything which can exist does exist somewhere. Not by chance, but by the inevitability of infinity. But this vision raises profound questions. If infinite universes exist, does that mean everything happens an infinite number of times? Is there another you reading these words in a world almost identical to this one, but where a single atom in your body is different? And if the cosmos is truly infinite, can we ever find the boundary between ours and theirs? Or are we trapped within our own bubble, forever unable to glimpse beyond its shimmering surface? The irony is that this vast, unthinkable concept grew from the smallest flicker of cosmic energy. A tiny imbalance in the early universe, magnified to create galaxies, stars, and the possibility of life. From a spark, infinity. But what if these universes aren't entirely separate? What if something connects them? A bridge, invisible but real, through which information or energy could pass. That's where the story turns again. From the grand scale of cosmic inflation to the quantum threads that may tie all realities together. Because deep beneath the laws of physics, something strange happens. Particles separated by light years remain connected, reacting as one, as if distance means nothing. Could this be the whisper of the multiverse itself, a subtle link between worlds that should never meet? Next, we'll explore quantum entanglement, the phenomenon Einstein once called spooky action at a distance. And we'll ask, if two particles can remain connected across space and time, could two universes do the same? Across the vast silence of the cosmos, everything seems separate. Stars drift alone. Worlds turn in solitude. And yet, beneath the surface of what we can see, there is a secret connection binding everything together. Physicists call it quantum entanglement. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. But perhaps the most poetic description is the simplest. A whisper between particles that never forget each other. Here's the mystery. When two particles become entangled, their properties like spin, position, or energy become linked. Measure one, and you instantly know the state of the other, no matter how far apart they are. A change in one is mirrored in the other immediately, even if they're separated by galaxies. To classical physics, that's impossible. No signal could travel faster than light. But quantum reality doesn't seem to care about distance, or even time. It behaves as if space itself is an illusion, and the universe beneath is woven from something deeper, a single, indivisible fabric of connection. Entanglement suggests that separation is an illusion. Everything that exists, from the atoms in your body to the farthest stars, may be linked through this hidden network. But here's where the idea grows even stranger. Some physicists now believe entanglement isn't just a quirk of quantum mechanics. It might be the foundation of reality itself. In 2013, researchers proposed something extraordinary. The structure of spacetime, the stage on which the universe unfolds, may actually emerge from webs of quantum entanglement. In other words, without entanglement, there would be no space at all. Let that sink in. Reality might not be built from matter or energy, but from relationships, threads of information connecting everything to everything else. It's as if the universe is a grand tapestry, and entanglement is the invisible thread that holds its patterns together. Pull one string, and the vibration echoes across the entire fabric. Could this be the mechanism that links the multiverse? If every universe is a branch of the same cosmic tree, perhaps entanglement is the sap that flows through its roots, an unseen current connecting every leaf, every world, every version of ourselves. Theoretical physicists have even explored whether wormholes, those hypothetical tunnels through space-time, might actually be entangled pairs on a cosmic scale. Two regions of space, linked not by distance, but by a shared quantum state. It's an idea known as ER equals EPR, proposed by Juan Meldacena and Leonard Susskind. In essence, it suggests that every quantum connection could be a tiny bridge through the fabric of space. If that's true, then the boundaries between universes might not be as impassable as we think. The flow of quantum information, the pulse of entanglement, could weave all worlds into one vast, interconnected field. And if consciousness itself is quantum in nature, as some neuroscientists and physicists have begun to suspect, then our very awareness might also be entangled across realities. Could that explain déjà vu, sudden intuition, the feeling that we've lived a moment before, in another place, another version of now? Perhaps our minds are not confined to one timeline, but gently resonate with others, like musical notes vibrating in harmony across different octaves of existence. If you think of the multiverse as a vast cosmic symphony, entanglement might be the melody that threads through every note, uniting them into one eternal song. And that brings us to a new mystery. If the universe is connected across all scales, from the quantum to the cosmic, then even the smallest choice could ripple through the web, altering countless realities at once. What if a single thought, a single heartbeat, could reshape the paths of worlds? In the next chapter, we'll explore that possibility, the idea that small changes can echo across infinite timelines. It's known as the butterfly effect, and it asks one of the most beautiful questions in all of science and philosophy. If one flap of a butterfly's wings can shift the winds of destiny, what might a single human choice set in motion among the stars? A butterfly flaps its wings in one corner of the world, and a storm forms on the other side of the planet. It's a poetic image, but also a profound metaphor for the hidden mathematics of reality. In the mid-20th century, meteorologist Edward Lorenz was running weather simulations when he made a simple mistake. He re-entered a number just slightly rounded off by 3 decimal places, and the result was staggering. The simulated weather diverged wildly from the original. What should have been a minor shift produced an entirely different future. From this, Lorenz uncovered a truth about nature. In certain systems, tiny changes can grow exponentially, shaping outcomes far beyond prediction. He called it sensitive dependence on initial conditions. The world came to know it as the butterfly effect. At first, it seemed to apply only to chaos theory and weather patterns. But over time, thinkers in physics, biology, and even philosophy began to realize its deeper implication. Reality itself might be exquisitely sensitive. Every decision, every quantum event, may send ripples across the web of existence. Ripples that could, in a multiverse, become entirely new worlds. Picture this. Every time you make a choice, whether to speak or stay silent, to turn left or right, the universe splits. One version of you walks down one path, another follows the other. Both are real, both continue, both unaware of the other's existence. It's as though the cosmos records every possibility, never deleting any potential outcome. Nothing is truly lost, only multiplied. In one world, a drop of rain lands on your hand. In another, the wind shifts and it never falls. These might seem like meaningless details, but in an interconnected, chaotic system, even the smallest difference can evolve into a completely distinct future. Over centuries, that single raindrop could cascade into a world unrecognizable from ours. The butterfly effect transforms choice into creation. You are not simply living through time, you are helping to build it. This concept bridges science and philosophy. In quantum mechanics, even a subatomic particle's behavior is probabilistic. Each possible outcome exists until an observation is made. But in the many worlds interpretation, every possibility continues, branching endlessly. On that cosmic scale, the butterfly effect becomes infinite, each tiny variation birthing entire universes. And within that infinity, the smallest acts of consciousness may carry cosmic weight. The decision to smile at a stranger, the word left unsaid, the day you chose courage instead of hesitation. Each may echo across dimensions, sculpting futures unseen. It's tempting to imagine the multiverse as something far away, a realm of distant galaxies and impossible physics. But the butterfly effect reminds us that the doorway is here, in the smallest moments of ordinary life. Every instant is a crossroads, every breath, a thread in the web. The multiverse isn't a map of other places. It's the living geometry of possibility itself. So when we talk about alternate timelines, we're not only speaking of worlds beyond reach. We're speaking of the choices that define us, the versions of ourselves that continue where we did not go. Somewhere, there is a version of you who followed a dream you let go of. Somewhere, another who made peace where you chose silence. These aren't ghosts or illusions. They are the reflections of a universe that never forgets what could have been. And yet, the question lingers. Are these branches truly separate? Or do they, in subtle ways, influence one another, whispers across dimensions, nudging events toward harmony? Some physicists speculate that interference between quantum branches might still occur, that realities might occasionally brush against each other, producing anomalies, coincidences, or what we call intuition. Could that moment of déjà vu, the sense that you've been here before, be the faint vibration of two timelines touching? The butterfly doesn't know what wind it creates, just as we cannot see the worlds our choices set in motion. But somewhere, its wings continue to beat. Somewhere our echoes live on. And if infinite versions of us exist, each born from a single decision, what happens when two versions cross paths? In the next part, we'll look into one of the most haunting ideas of the multiverse. The existence of our other selves, the mirror beings who share our face, our voice, our soul, yet walk entirely different worlds. Are they just echoes in theory, or living reflections waiting on the other side of possibility? What if, right now, as you listen to these words, another you is doing the same but in a world just slightly different from this one? Perhaps the light in that world falls through the window at a different angle. Perhaps the air smells faintly of rain instead of sun. Perhaps in that world you chose another path entirely, and that choice has led them somewhere you've never been. The thought of another you has haunted human imagination for centuries. We call them doppelgängers, a word from Old German meaning double walker. But this idea existed long before language gave it a name. Ancient mythologies whispered of doubles, shadow selves, and mirror spirits that lived parallel to us, unseen but ever present. In Egyptian belief, there was the Ka, the spiritual twin born alongside every human being. The Ka shared the same essence, but walked a subtler world, its own realm of light and energy. In Norse lore, there was the Vardager, a phantom self that appeared before the real person arrived, as if time itself were repeating. Across the world, in Native American teachings, certain tribes spoke of dream selves, versions of the individual who traveled other realities while the waking self slept. And in more recent centuries, poets, mystics, and philosophers have described the unsettling feeling of encountering one's double. Sometimes in dreams, sometimes in waking life. But what if these stories are not superstition? What if they're the ancient vocabulary for something quantum, the whisper of many worlds brushing against each other? Modern physics tells us that in a multiverse of infinite realities, every possible version of you exists somewhere. Not metaphorically, literally. There is a universe where you made every choice you ever could have made. You've been brave in one, cautious in another. In one, you learned music. In another, you never did. Some versions may not even be human anymore. Think of it this way. Reality is a cosmic hall of mirrors. You stand in the center, but your reflections stretch into eternity. Each reflection moves independently, some almost identical, some completely transformed, but all of them share your original spark. The concept of doppelgängers in folklore might be our consciousness occasionally sensing those reflections. Perhaps when people say they feel another version of themselves, they're not imagining it. They're tuning into another frequency of the same self. Quantum theory allows for this possibility in an eerie way. When two parallel universes are nearly identical, their wave functions can overlap, creating interference patterns, like ripples colliding on a pond. Some physicists suggest that this could explain fleeting moments of déjà vu, or the strange comfort of recognizing a place you've never been. Maybe what we call intuition, the quiet knowing that seems to come from nowhere, is the echo of another you, reaching across the veil to whisper what they've already lived. The philosopher David Deutsch, one of the architects of quantum computation, once said that interference between branches of the multiverse is not just theoretical. It's the very thing that allows quantum computers to function. These machines draw upon parallel versions of themselves to perform calculations. In other words, our technology already touches other worlds. If matter can do this, why not consciousness? If the fabric of the universe allows electrons to interact with their counterparts across realities, perhaps thoughts, emotions, and memories can do the same. Could that explain why, in rare and quiet moments, we feel the pull of another life? The sense that somewhere else, something inside us is still unfolding? The poet Rilke once wrote, "The future enters into us long before it happens." Maybe so. Or perhaps it's not the future entering us, but another world, gently brushing past. If infinite versions of ourselves exist, what happens when their paths converge? Could there be moments, fleeting, electric, when one self meets another, face to face? And if that meeting ever truly occurred, would you recognize yourself? In the next part, we'll move from speculation to exploration, from theory to experiment. Because science, in its relentless curiosity, has not only imagined these other worlds, it has begun searching for them. From quantum computers to cosmic background radiation, from laboratory simulations to the edges of black holes, we'll look at the growing evidence that hints the veil between worlds might be thinner than we ever dared to believe. For centuries, the multiverse was a matter of myth, poetry, and speculation. But in the last few decades, it has entered the realm of science, not as fantasy, but as a hypothesis bold enough to be tested. Physicists, cosmologists, and even computer scientists have begun probing the question. If other universes exist, how might we find their fingerprints? It begins, once again, with the cosmic microwave background, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang, still echoing across the sky. This ancient radiation is the oldest light in existence, a kind of cosmic fossil. When scientists mapped it in exquisite detail through satellites like Planck and WMAP, they noticed something curious. Subtle anomalies, strange cold spots, and uneven patterns that didn't quite fit our standard models. Some researchers suggested that these could be the marks of cosmic collisions, moments when our universe brushed against another bubble universe long ago. Imagine two cosmic spheres expanding in an infinite foam of space-time. If they touched, even briefly, the impact might leave a faint circular scar, like ripples overlapping on water. So far, the data is inconclusive. But the possibility is extraordinary, that we may already be seeing the shadow of another universe imprinted upon our own. Meanwhile, in laboratories much closer to home, scientists are conducting experiments that probe the multiverse from the inside out. At the Large Hadron Collider near Geneva, particles are smashed together at energies so high that for an instant reality itself trembles. Among the debris, physicists search for evidence of extra dimensions, signs that particles are leaking into hidden spaces beyond the three we know. If even a fraction of the energy from those collisions were to vanish inexplicably, it could mean that matter is spilling across boundaries into other universes. Then there are the quantum computing experiments. These machines rely on qubits, tiny systems that can exist in multiple states at once. When a quantum computer performs a calculation, it doesn't follow one path. It explores all possible outcomes simultaneously. Some theorists, like David Deutsch and Bryce DeWitt, have proposed that quantum computers may be harnessing parallel realities, borrowing computational power from neighboring universes before collapsing back into one. If true, that would mean that every time a quantum algorithm runs, it reaches into the multiverse and briefly converses with infinite versions of itself. Even in neuroscience and consciousness studies, echoes of the multiverse appear. The orchestroar theory, proposed by physicist Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff, suggests that quantum processes within the brain's microtubules might link human awareness to the underlying structure of the cosmos. In this view, consciousness might not be confined to one world, it might be a resonance across many. And then there are the simulations. Using supercomputers, cosmologists have begun modeling entire universes, virtual realities born from the same equations that describe our own. The results are astonishing. From a handful of mathematical rules, simulated universes grow galaxies, stars, and cosmic webs that look almost indistinguishable from telescope images. These digital creations force us to ask a haunting question. If we can simulate a universe that looks and behaves like ours, what if we are the simulation? The simulation hypothesis, advanced by philosopher Nick Bostrom, suggests that advanced civilizations may one day, or may already, run countless simulated realities. If so, our universe could be one of billions of such programs, each with its own set of physical constants, its own simulated minds, and its own laws of nature. And here's the astonishing twist. From inside such a simulation, there may be no way to tell it apart from base reality. Everything, our memories, our physics, even our idea of time, could simply be parameters of an elegant code. Yet the deeper science looks, the more it encounters mystery, not certainty. Every experiment that tries to measure the multiverse seems to touch something just beyond reach, an afterimage, a suggestion, a whisper of infinity. Still, the pursuit continues. At observatories peering into deep space, physicists search for patterns in gravitational waves that might signal collisions with other universes. In quantum labs, researchers push the limits of entanglement, trying to see whether information can cross invisible boundaries. Even our dreams of artificial intelligence and virtual worlds are, in a way, reflections of the same quest. The desire to create, explore, and understand realities beyond our own. Perhaps we are not just witnesses of the multiverse, but participants in its unfolding. A species destined to glimpse what lies beyond its own dimension. Yet every discovery only leads to more profound questions. If other universes exist, who or what inhabits them? Are they bound by time as we are, or do they flow freely across possibilities we cannot yet conceive? And if we ever found a doorway between worlds, would we recognize what waits on the other side? In the next part, we'll leave behind the laboratories and telescopes to explore what these ideas mean for us, for free will, destiny, and the essence of identity itself. Because if infinite versions of ourselves exist across infinite worlds, then who are we really? If infinite versions of you exist across infinite worlds, then which one is truly you? It's a question that turns science into philosophy and mathematics into something almost spiritual. Because the multiverse doesn't just stretch our understanding of space, it reshapes our sense of self. In one universe, you're watching this video. In another, you're not. In another still, you're living a life you can barely imagine. If all these versions exist, all equally real, then what becomes of choice? Do we still have free will, or are we simply living out every possible decision in one branch or another? The philosopher William James once wrote, "My first act of free will shall be to believe in free will." But in a multiverse, perhaps choice is both true and illusion, true in each world we experience, yet illusory in the grand mosaic of infinite possibilities. Every decision we make defines this version of us, even as other versions unfold elsewhere, living out the paths we didn't take. So maybe free will isn't about altering destiny, it's about focusing it. Our consciousness is the lens through which one timeline becomes visible, while all others blur into the unseen. But then, what of identity? If countless versions of you exist, are they all you, or are they separate beings, sharing only a common origin? Perhaps identity isn't a fixed point, but a pattern, a vibration repeated across worlds, slightly different each time, like a melody played in many keys. The philosopher Derek Parfit argued that personal identity might not be what truly matters. What matters, he said, is psychological continuity, the persistence of thought, memory, and intention. If somewhere, another version of you remembers your childhood, loves the same people, and carries your same hopes, then perhaps that person is you in the only sense that truly counts. In this light, the multiverse becomes not a threat to individuality, but an expansion of it. You are not a single life, but a chorus of possibilities, a cosmic harmony played through infinite variations. Every success, every failure, every heartbreak, and every triumph. Somewhere, each has been lived. And yet, there's comfort in that, because it means that nothing is truly lost. Every potential of your soul finds a home somewhere in the infinite. Still, one might wonder, if all paths are real, what gives this one meaning? If all outcomes exist, why does this particular moment matter? The answer may lie not in what is, but in what we experience. Meaning doesn't depend on exclusivity, it depends on awareness. We are the consciousness looking through one window in the cathedral of worlds. The beauty of the multiverse isn't that everything happens. It's that you are here witnessing this part of it right now. It's possible that awareness itself is the bridge between realities. If consciousness is quantum, as some thinkers suggest, then perhaps every act of attention entangles us with countless versions of ourselves. Each thought, each realization, might echo across universes, harmonizing the many yous into a single, evolving awareness. Maybe that's what we mean by the soul, not a ghost within one body, but a universal frequency, vibrating across dimensions. And what of destiny? If the multiverse contains every possibility, is fate even real? Maybe destiny isn't a fixed path, but a structure of resonance. Certain moments, connections, discoveries, loves, may occur in nearly every universe, because they're too deeply woven into the pattern of who we are. In that sense, destiny isn't about control, it's about coherence. It's the part of us that repeats no matter how many worlds unfold. Across every version of reality, there might be constants, threads that remain unbroken. Perhaps curiosity itself is one of them. No matter the world, no matter the form, the spark of wonder keeps burning. So when we ask, who am I? The answer might be far larger than we ever imagined. You are the dreamer, not the dream. You are the consciousness behind the countless selves, experiencing itself in endless forms. And maybe one day the boundaries between those forms will fade, and you'll see all your lives at once, like stars reflecting in a single ocean. But if that day comes, will it bring peace or awe? Because to glimpse every version of yourself might be to glimpse infinity itself. In the final part, we'll face the ultimate question. Is the multiverse a scientific illusion, or the hidden truth of creation? And if it is real, what does that mean for humanity's place in existence? Perhaps the greatest mystery is not how many worlds there are, but why we're aware of this one. Somewhere, another version of you is finishing this sentence. Somewhere else, another never began. Between those 2 points lies the mystery of everything, the question that has guided philosophers, scientists, and dreamers alike. Is the multiverse real, or is it only the reflection of our boundless imagination? The truth is both humbling and magnificent. The deeper science looks, the more the universe resists final answers. Every equation that tries to confine reality ends up opening new doors instead. Doors that lead to possibility, to uncertainty, to wonder. The multiverse isn't only a theory about space. It's a mirror held up to existence itself. It challenges the idea that there is a single story, a single truth, a single you. It invites us to see reality not as a line, but as a living web of choices, connections, and consciousness. An infinite fabric that shimmers with potential. Cosmologists speak of bubble universes, quantum branches, and endless inflations of spacetime. Yet, beyond the mathematics, the idea carries a deeper, quieter message. That reality is more creative than we can comprehend. That it never stops inventing new ways to be. If even one of these parallel worlds exists, it means creation is not a one-time event. It is continuous. The universe is still unfolding, still imagining itself in infinite forms. And if every possible outcome happens somewhere, then nothing is truly lost. Every dream unrealized here is lived elsewhere. Every word unspoken echoes in another world. Every version of you exists, learns, grows, and wonders. Perhaps that's what consciousness is. The universe experiencing itself through countless windows, each believing it stands alone, when in truth all are one. Across cultures and centuries, we've always reached for this same idea. The mystics called it unity. The poets called it the mirror. The physicists call it superposition. Different languages for the same revelation. That separation is an illusion, and that reality is far larger and more intimate than we can fathom. Maybe the multiverse is not something out there, beyond our reach, but something within us, a reflection of our own infinite potential. Every thought is a world. Every heartbeat, a universe collapsing into now. And in the quiet between those heartbeats, perhaps we touch them all, the infinite lives, the alternate histories, the endless patterns of being. We search for other worlds through telescopes, equations, and simulations. Yet maybe what we're really searching for is proof that our longing for more is justified, that our instinct to dream beyond the sky is not arrogance, but memory. Because somewhere deep inside we might already know we have walked these paths before. We have been other versions of ourselves. We have seen other suns rise. And if that is true, then existence is not a line we follow, but a circle we inhabit. A vast and luminous cycle where every possibility is fulfilled, every choice redeemed, and every story eternal. So tonight, when you look up at the stars, remember this: you are not small. You are not a single thread. You are part of the tapestry, the consciousness through which infinity knows itself. And perhaps, just beyond the veil of what we can see, another version of you is looking back, wondering the same thing. So tell me, if all realities exist, if every version of you is out there somewhere among the stars, then which one are you choosing to be right now?